The dispute over the Grand Renaissance Ethiopian Dam project has been relevant for around a decade and has caused a lot of tension and instability in the Nile River regions. These countries, more specifically, are Ethiopia, Sudan, and Egypt. This begs the question, how does the Ethiopian dam issue relate to the lack of stability in the government, both the local government in Ethiopia and international relations with Sudan and Egypt?
Ethiopia is a hard country to hold together in the best of times. You've got 112 million people, 80 different ethnic groups.
Ethiopia's government has seen a lot of corruption throughout its history. Since 1991, when the current regime was established, the country has been governed based on an ethnic regional system, all under the Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Democratic Front. This comprised four main ethnic groups, with the Tigray People's Liberation Front leading. This political setup has caused a lot of unrest within Ethiopia. There have been ethnic wars for many years, and this political climate is rooted in the country's lack of a strong central government, because the government is so divided through all the ethnic groups. Since the start of the Grand Renaissance Ethiopian Dam, Egypt and Ethiopia's relationship has deteriorated significantly. This video tells us what Egypt thinks of the agreement.
Egypt says its supply of water is in danger of drying up.
الكل عامة قلقان خراب على الكل.
This is because the dam undermines Egypt's water security interests, and the location of Egypt, downstream of the dam, will mean that Egypt will be able to access a significantly reduced amount of water from the Nile than before the dam was put in. This has caused a lot of fighting and tension between the two countries. Egypt and Sudan, both downstream nations, have invoked their historical rights to the use of the Nile, which upstream nations such as Ethiopia have said are invalid. The Egyptian president at the time said that he would take military action if Ethiopia continued with this dam project. This statement speaks to the nature of the relationship between Ethiopia and Egypt as a result of the dam disputes. This is what the most recent president Sisi said about it.
No one can take a single drop of water from Egypt, and whoever wants to try it, let them try. I'm not threatening anyone here. Our dialogue is always reasonable and rational. No one can take a drop from Egypt's water, and if it happens, there will be inconceivable instability in the region.
The dam dispute has hurt many international relations for Ethiopia, namely with Egypt and Sudan, two of the largest stakeholders in the issue of water rights over the Nile. About 80% of Egypt's water comes from the Nile River, making them a very important stakeholder. The lack of international political allies that Ethiopia has is an indicator of the lack of stability within the country's political climate. The country has such international relations because it has no powerful central government the people support. This means there is no power to make decisions that could help create peace with Egypt or come to a compromise over the dam arguments. This is also why it is taking so long for Ethiopia and Egypt to come to any agreements. For example, recently this year, when a peace treaty was proposed, Ethiopia rejected it outright. They also refused to speak on any ideas of peace treaties. This once again speaks to the lack of a stable central government in Ethiopia. The fact that Ethiopia cannot come to a compromise with Egypt or Sudan over the building of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam serves as an indication that Ethiopia lacks a stable government. The dam crisis has also further injured international relations for Ethiopia, which will only cause more unrest within the country.
From the northern Tigray region approach the capital. The two sides and their allies have been fighting for exactly 1 year. And as Nick Schifrin reports, the conflict is on the brink of all-out civil war that threatens to tear apart the country.
In conclusion, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam project relates to the lack of stability within Ethiopia's government, both the local country's government and governmental relations with other international countries, such as Egypt and Sudan, through the implications of the country's inability to make peace and therefore have political allies in Egypt and Sudan. This indicates that there is no strong, stable, central governing body that is able to make decisions within the country. There is an acting prime minister, however, there are many flaws with this form of government, as seen in the fact that the Tigray region, which was just mentioned in the video, has been fighting against Ethiopian government for over a year now, and the country is on its way to civil war. as well as the fact that this dam crisis has persisted for almost a decade. The dam crisis, just like the war against Tigray, is only a small piece in the puzzle of why Ethiopia is in constant unrest. However, it is an important one, and most certainly does relate to the unrest in the country.